Hey, I'm GT, and welcome to the Stuff You Should Think About podcast, where I take interesting things you should think about and I break them down in just a few minutes. In this episode, we'll discuss totem poles. Totem poles are monumental sculptures that convey rich histories, ancestral legends, and clan lineages. These majestic works serve as profound visual storytellers of heritage. Totem poles are monumental carvings created by indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest Coast, stretching from coastal Washington and British Columbia up through southeast Alaska. And they're far more random artwork or objects of worship. These towering cedar structures function as historical documents, legal records, and cultural archives, rooted specifically in the traditions of nations like Haiti, Tlingit, Taishan, and other nations. Their medium is almost always Western red cedar, chosen for its straight grain, rot resistance, and workable softness, which made it ideal for carving with traditional stone, shell, or bone tools, and later with iron and steel. Because cedar naturally decomposes in the damp coastal climate, most poles only last 60 to 80 years outdoors, and traditionally, once a pole weathered and fell, it was left to return to the earth rather than preserve as an artifact. The meaning of a totem pole is never about worship. Instead, it's about identity, lineage, and memory. The figures carved into a pole, eagles, ravens, bears, killer whales, frogs, and supernatural beings, represent the crests of specific clans or families, functioning much like heraldic symbols in European traditions. Poles also tell stories, whether creation narratives, historical events, or accounts involving ancestors and supernatural beings, but they aren't read from bottom to top like a comic strip. Their meaning is contextual, known primarily to the family or community that commissioned the pole. They can commemorate major events, honor leaders, mark debts or agreements, and serve as visible expressions of wealth, prestige, and social standing. The raising of a pole is inseparable from the potlatch, a ceremonial feast central to Northwest Coast cultures. A thief or noble family would commission a master carver and then host a potlatch that could take years to prepare. During the ceremony, the host family distributed valuable goods, blankets, copper plates, food, to guests as payment for witnessing and validating the pole and the rights it represented. The more generous the giveaway, the greater the host's prestige and authority, making the pole not just an artistic achievement, but a political and social statement. This tradition suffered a severe decline in the late 19th and early 20th centuries when colonial governments attempted to suppress indigenous culture. The Canadian government outlawed the potlatch in 1884, and similar pressures exist in the United States, with authorities viewing the ceremony as wasteful and incompatible with Christian assimilation. Because poles could only be raised during potlatches, the ban effectively halted new pole creation. Many poles were confiscated, destroyed, or sold to museums. When the ban was lifted in 1951, communities began reviving the tradition, and today, master carvers actively pass down their knowledge, raising new poles to mark modern milestones, honor leaders, and assert cultural sovereignty and resilience. Misconceptions still surround totem poles, including the popular phrase, low man on the totem pole, which implies low status. In reality, figures near the bottom can be among the most important, and many poles don't follow a hierarchical structure at all. Any major issue is the presence of historical poles in museums worldwide, many taken during the colonial era. Modern laws like NAGPRA, NAGPRA in the United States, and similar frameworks in Canada support the repatriation of sacred poles and cultural artifacts to their rightful communities, reflecting ongoing efforts to restore cultural heritage and correct historical injustices. Thanks for tuning in to the Stuff You Should Think About. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a comment wherever you listen to your podcast, and don't forget to follow the show. It really helps the podcast grow.